Hey guys, welcome back to the letter. It's TJ Gamer Girl signing on. So, last episode, we basically had a heart-to-heart, I guess, with Luke. And before leaving, well, she appeared. She might be mistaking Luke. I think the spirit is the Charlotte Ermengarde. She might be mistaking Luke for her fiance, her husband. I don't remember if they actually got married. So, that might be why she was like that. Just clutching him. And why she wants to just outright murder Hana. She's not even asking for help from Hana. Others, she's asking for help. But Hana, nah, that bitch needs to die. So, we got access. We've been given written access to private files to see if we can find anything out about the mansion beyond what the public eye is allowed to see. On a gloomy Sunday morning, the library is especially empty. The second floor in particular. I've always considered this place to be a sanctuary, a respite away from the hubbub of the city. As a child, I grew up reading books here, spending hours here to no end poring over the pages, living out fantasies in my head until my parents called me home. Now, it feels nothing like it. Silence is smothering, suffocating. Even with how clean they've kept the microfiche room. Microfiche room? Microfiche room? Microfiche? How the entire small of it lacks a speck of dust or clutter. Breathing is a struggle for air. Not far into my stay, I begin longing for the noise outside, and perhaps as a way to calm this unease, I start to hum a tune. Imagine that. Why, of all things, it has to be that silly nursery rhyme, I've not an inkling. It does its job, however. It fills the lull with something far less awkward, far less deafening, and that's enough for a distraction. I have business here. No time for silly daydreams, only important work to attend to. Even if there's a possibility of it being fruitless by some means, it feels like I have to do it, if not for me, then for the people who are being affected by this... What do we even call this? A haunting? A Halloween prank gone wrong? A curse? If Isabella were here, what would she say? Will she panic? Will she be angry I only listen to her now? It all stems from that one moment in the movie house, doesn't it? We could have avoided this had we only taken her warnings to heart. One stupid mistake is all it took to send our normal lives on a downward spiral. Frankly, I'm no longer sure if I'm angry at myself for it, or at the universe for throwing us into this mess. But we can only make do with what little we have, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Going here might not be the right decision, but it's a start.
A good start.
Doesn't take much time for me to find what I need. A microfiche of old newspapers long kept in special storage cabinets at the far end of a restricted section. The year is 1620s and beyond. Before the city of Luxburn even exists in the records, when the mansion has just been built, and Anselm is nothing more but a small sleepy hamlet near a river. A lot of pieces are missing. Days, sometimes several consecutive weeks without any records remaining. Often it goes on for years. Troublesome, but as it is, I'm lucky to find anything at all considering how far I'm looking back. Can't be picky now. Can't waste time mulling over what record keepers of the old could have done to make this a breeze for me.
I can still work with this.
The faint whir of the microfiche machine keeps me company as I go over each slide, each image, hoping for something that goes beyond what the local lore knows. There are snippets, Little mentions of the family that once settled in the house here and there. The usual singing of praises for the couple who helped brought up what was once a tiny settlement into a bustling town. Or a buzzing town, actually. Bustling, I don't think is actually a word. Nothing substantial, nothing I didn't know before. Continues on like this for a good while, till I come by the years after their deaths. The people of Ansem might have loved Lord William and Lady Elizabeth Ermengarde, mourning their passing, and held them in high esteem in the years after. But it was their daughter that was remembered fondly by the townspeople. If her parents built this town, Lady Charlotte was the one who made it prosper. Remarkable considering it was a period of recovery from a bout of plague that killed half the town's population, including her parents. What's surprising, though? Apparently, her time also marked more than superficial changes to take place. She moved things, changed laws, altered old customs and traditions. If they were done on a woman's whimsy, it doesn't say, but she seems capable enough for more than that. The gist of it is, the town she rebuilt? It's what eventually grew to become Luxburn City, while the nearby Ansem village was remained as it was, a relic of the old. A frown swiftly forms in my face.
So, why is there a need to hide this?
One by one, I tried to recall every lesson I've gone through, every book, paper, and journal I've read. None of those ever mentioned this. It's always the lord and the lady of the house, their endearing child, always an afterthought to those anecdotes, the one who always took her life in the end. Never someone who restored a town from the brink of collapse, or brought new ideas to it. Is it because she's a woman?
That pisses me off.
Granted, not everything is sunshine and rainbows. Not all aspects of her can be considered admirable. But this is history. Some parts are bound to naturally delve into unpleasant territory, whether I like it or not. Witch hunts, for example, became common near the end of her life. Which would have been completely unremarkable and might have gone to become a mere footnote in history if it didn't involve Lady Charlotte and the very slave she saved. It caused quite a stir. Enough to leave almost a week's worth of clippings. The girl was eventually burned, condemned by an entire town. At the word of Lady Charlotte alone. But this doesn't really have anything to do with this curse, does it? Unless the woman following us and this slave are the same person. Tale of revenge? How cliché. However, with the lack of accurate photographs, it's impossible to tell. Maybe if I squint, the illustration will start resembling her? But in my field, it doesn't work that way. It shouldn't work that way. I'll be the laughingstock of the community.
This isn't going anywhere.
Mentally exhausted, I take a careful step away from the screen, pressing my palm to my tired eyes. The lack of ample light in this area doesn't help. A headache already threatens to form at the back of my head. Yet I'm nowhere near figuring things out. This is simply too much to take in all at once.
I should have asked for someone's help.
Now I'm at a dead end. I start gathering everything around me and placing them back in their respective envelopes for storage. The motion is no longer new after volunteering here a number of times. I didn't make much mess. Anyway, considering the lack of materials available to begin with. I'll have to look somewhere else. The where remains unknown, though. But just as I'm about to slip the last of the slides, something catches my attention. My hand pauses. The microfiche halfway through its protective sleeve. This is one of the few I set aside without taking a careful look at. Seems like a gossip column at first sight, but upon a closer look... I slide it back into the reader, gently turning the dials in search of the page. It takes some time, but once the image becomes clear... They must have had this drawing commissioned for this announcement. I don't doubt it. The details are far more intricate, their likeness likely closer to how they might have appeared at the time. They're both recognizable this way, closer to those paintings I've seen in the mansion. However, it's the man standing beside her, Edward Godfrey, according to the article, that caught my attention previously. Her first cousin, and eventually her fiancé. Maybe it's the posture, the manner in which he holds himself. Or maybe it's the shape of his eyes, though I can't be too certain about that until I've gotten a better reference. Nevertheless, there is a resemblance. He looks eerily like... My head snaps up, glowering at whoever's running in the floor above. Any day I'd march upstairs and reprimand whoever it is.
This is a library, for heaven's sake.
But now isn't the time. I've gotten what I need. Without wasting another minute, I hit the machine's print button for a copy of the page, while my other hand moves to put everything back into storage. A ragged exhale slips from me. Relief, perhaps? Or maybe this is already exhaustion. Regardless, soon, I'm closing my eyes as I wait for the printer to finish, if only to stave off a headache building from everything. Sometime, I've even began humming the same song again. For comfort. Despite my doubts about this, despite all the tension in my shoulders. This might be a small find, but at least I can start somewhere. We can start somewhere. There's a way out of this. I know it. The printer sputters to a halt. However, its sound isn't what makes me snap my eyes open. A feeling, a chilly brush of air behind my back. Brief enough for some sickening to suddenly lodge itself in my throat while I take in my surroundings. It's that suffocating sensation again, creeping to every part of me, crawling under my skin. It's draining me little by little of any strength. From that day in the mansion. From that brief moment at the school. Without delay, I grab the papers and make a quick beeline for the door. Lovely! Hi! How you doing? My whole body freezes.
What are you doing, Miss Pink?
I hold my breath, not daring to make any noise. For a little while, only the sound of papers crumpling under my grasp fills the room, the excitement from earlier gone instantly, replaced by a cold, seeping dread spreading throughout my limbs. But more than the fear is the anger. It pains me to hear her using my own student's voice against me. And more than once I believed it was really her. She has no right.
Why don't you play with me?
Although she hasn't made a move, if there isn't a wall behind me, I'll probably take a step back. Anything to put a distance between us, no matter how small, as long as I'm out of her reach. But I steel myself. Because if I do fall back, turn away from her, I'll be left with no way out. I am not dying here.
You think you scam me?
Miss Pink, don't be so rude. I'm waiting.
I'm not afraid of you, you spook. This is one Scotswoman. You aren't getting into an early grave without a fight. Come at me.
I expected she'll lunge, prove to me what a monster she is. Instead, she gives me a smile, twisted and gnarled. It's as if time has crawled to a stop at the sight of it. A split-second decision. Before I know it, my body shifts. Eyes closing in anticipation, hand grabbing for whatever's solid enough on a nearby table and hurling it at her. I don't bother looking if whatever I threw hit its mark. I run, as fast as my legs can carry me, despite my heart threatening to burst out of my chest. But in this maze of bookshelves, with the whole place almost devoid of people, is there even a safe place I can escape to? Oh shit. Head for the door. If there is one, it's out of this room, out of this place, as far away as anyone can get from her. I can think about the rest of what I can do after I'm outside, when there are other people I can ask for help, when she's not chasing after me like this. There's no hesitation in my steps as I race for the restricted section store, head downstairs and barrel straight for the library's exit. Towards safety in a desperate bid for my life. Library rules be damned. I can no longer hear her behind me, but I'm not taking any chances. A breath almost escapes me as I near the door. A little more. When out of nowhere, a library cart careens from a blind corner and slams into my sides. My back hits the floor with a hard thud, the impact completely knocking the breath out of me. The copper taint of blood gradually spreads over my tongue as I fight to get my bearings back. Please, QTE. Please, QTE. I force myself to move, even with the excruciating pain coursing through my limbs. The ASIC's almost there. If only I can... But there's no moment's respite. The next thing I know, there's a heavy weight atop me and cold digits slide around my neck, tight like a vice, pressing, closing in, leaving me gasping for air. Through my blurred vision, I can only make out that hateful gleam, the spite in her eyes, as she looms over my body and her grip on my throat grows tighter. My desperation kicks in. My nails dig into her wrist as I struggle against her firm grip, trying to pry her fingers away.
Let go. Let me go.
No. No! Too strong. Her hold on me is too strong. My lungs begin to ache, burning with the lack of air, the pain growing worse with every second I writhe under her punishing grip.
Somebody help me.
Darkness starts to fill the edges of my vision, and soon the world fades. Yes! I am not... There. Don't think twice. I thought, like, that's it. She's dead. My first game over. But okay. My limbs are moving on their own before what I did could fully register in my brain and my lungs could recover. Behind me, she lets out a cry, sharp, loud, and thunderous against the empty walls of the library. The fear her wails bring compares nothing to the relief washing over me when I finally make it out. My knees buckle as soon as my feet hits the pavement, its surface cold and hard against my skin. I've only been in there for a few hours. About 1 or 2, probably. I don't know anymore. Feels like an eternity all the same. My breathing hasn't slowed yet. I don't expect it to after going through that. Probably look like the most undignified creature on a Sunday morning right now. Out of breath, disheveled, slumped here with a bloodied lip and all. But at present, I simply can't bring myself to care. Even when a few passers-by start giving me strange looks. Stare at me all you want. I don't give a single shite. I'm alive. I'm safe. This isn't the end yet, but I'm safe. And inside my bag is something that could get us out of this mess. Nothing definite yet. I don't want to get my hopes up, but it's still something. If Isabella's here, I'm sure she'll feel the same. She'll even be the first one who will put faith on it. Wherever this will lead us to is a victory on its own. Not all that's left to find. Now all that's left is to find the others. The rest of us trapped in this bloody nightmare. Run on cue, as if in answer to my previous thought, my mobile phone lets out a beep. I pick it up, simply hoping it'll be one of them. Only, it's a voicemail that greets me. From Ashton. There's a pain of disappointment, of course, but it brings some reassurance that nothing's happened to at least one of them.
Hey, Becca, call me back when you're free. We need to talk. ASAP.
It ends right there. The message less than a minute long. Curt, and gives nothing away. I let it ease my worries regardless, and do as he asks. Because this, too, is another triumph for us. One less thing to worry about. Holy shit. And we're on to Ashton. Okay. We're starting right at the party with Ash. Okay. Holy shit. Oh, that's a game over. I can, say I got. Let's check. Yeah, he has no love for Luke. Let's go with Rebecca. Marianne doesn't really know her. Zachary, Hannah, and Isabella, I will get you together with him. I promise. That's a promise, Luke. Luke? Ash! Damn it! Parties have never really been my thing. They're always such a hassle, and it takes so much time off my day. Prior plans and commitments cancelled, all for the sake of partying along with others.
Welcome, welcome everyone.
I hated them even as a child.
Please make yourselves at home.
But Mom often insisted. She'd slick my hair back, put me in one of those stuffy dinner jackets, and if there were any children around, urged me to make friends. Never mind how utterly loud or tedious it was. It was all for the sake of keeping up appearances. To some extent, lies have already surrounded me, long before I've chosen what I wanted to do with my life. Luckily, there were easy ways to tune everything out, much to my mom's frustration. I always managed to sneak my CD player along. I kept to myself and to my music, had my own little world, until I learned to observe. It's a simple matter of awareness, really. And for someone with keen eyes, a skewed necktie or a simple flick of the wrist alone could tell volumes about a person. I still don't like parties, especially ones as big and fancy as the Wright housewarming party. However, there's an actual reason to go to them, I figure. They're not too bad.
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
Besides, like it or not, it's all part of the job. I'm here on a mission. One that has the name Luke Wright plastered all over it. You'd think the man would want to remain inconspicuous after his name was linked to several high-profile crimes across Luxburg. Granted, most of it have gone cold over the years, having stagnated without any lead or evidence, but that still doesn't make him any less suspect. Yet, here he is, throwing a party in his own backyard. Although having observed the man this past year, I'm not even shocked. He craves it, the damn spotlight. Constantly yearns for attention like a neglected puppy. Doesn't take a genius to figure out why he's nowhere to be found in his own party. But that's not the problem here. What pisses me off is how far his reach extends. How close he's creeped into the lives of people I care about. Again, like a stubborn itch you couldn't be rid of. First, Professor Clark. Then there's Isabella. I also spotted Z-Man here a while ago. And now there's also Rebecca. Apparently.
Ashton?
Becca? What are you doing here?
I was invited.
Really? I had no idea you were friends with the host.
That explains things. And makes this difficult all the same. As if getting in contact among the staff to sneak a name into the guest list isn't hard enough. The guy almost ditched me last night, and might have placed another setback in my investigation if it wasn't for my generous tip. Then here comes Rebecca, another person to mind.
Well, it's my parents, actually. But that's beside the point. What are you doing here? You hate parties.
I still do. I'm just here on behalf of a friend.
Unnecessary lie. I can't bring my own friends into this any further than what they've already found themselves in. Because if Luke Wright so much as harms a hair on either Zach's or Rebecca's head, there will be hell to pay. Worrying about Isabella's brief dealings with him is stressing in itself already. I doubt he'll attempt anything in front of other people, though. It would tarnish his glorious reputation, and he values appearances more than anything. That doesn't necessarily mean he isn't capable of it. More than, in fact. And on the off chance he does something, I wouldn't be responsible for my actions.
That's rare. Do you have someone with you then?
Nope, just me. I won't be staying long.
Well, if that's the case, maybe you and I can.
For Zach's and Rebecca's sake, however, I really hope this will simply be another housewarming. Even though something tells me it's anything but. Call it a detective's intuition or whatever. When Luke Wright's involved, nothing good has ever come out of it. I can't let my guard down here. Even more when a familiar car slows to a stop and out comes...
Chief?
My presence here might be odd at best, but I have an excuse. One that this man handed to me himself a year ago, along with a heavy dose of flattery for the newly promoted detective inspector. Can't say exactly the same for my good old boss. Can I? Although to see him here, chatting it up with Luxburn's rich and famous, isn't such a big surprise in itself. No disrespect meant, but the guy is obviously a social climber. What is surprising is the fact that he seems all too eager to mingle with a person of interest's wife. Just what the hell is he doing here?
Ashton, what's.
Sorry, Becca. I need to... There's something I need to check for a bit. I'll talk to you later. Do you have a ride home?
No, I had to take a cab here. My car wouldn't start this afternoon. But what about.
What the shit is going on here?
I told you to get that old thing checked before, didn't I? You can head back with me after this. Anyway, I gotta go. See ya. Be careful, okay?
Hey, be careful! About what
I don't want to draw attention to myself either. At least not until he's given me a proper reason to spoil his little party.
Thank you for the invite, Anna. Husband still missing, I see.
I should be saying the same of your darling Rochelle, Lee. The doctors again.
For now, the best I can do is wait and remain inconspicuous. Especially with Chief here, whose motives are dubious at best. If it means having to pretend I don't know Zach and Rebecca or forcing myself to rub elbows with people I barely know, let alone like, then so be it. I can't involve anyone. Wandering is out of the question as well when there are guards in civvies stationed here and there. Sure, getting past them is something I could do with ease, but I'd rather not right now, when I'm one of the few snooping and roaming about. It'd be best to try and do some once there's a crowd of people. And if their interior designers' drunken claims are to be believed.
Yes, well, what about Luke? Should we file a missing persons report now, or do you want to wait 24 hours?
He's around.
You know, I can tell if someone's bluffing.
It'll all come down to how well I'll play my cards tonight. With a good hand, this party is going to give me the breakthrough I need to crack Luke right, or something to prove my suspicions wrong. Maybe find out what kind of game my boss is also playing. I've had an inkling before, a few hunches, tempted down by how much of a bumbling fool the man appears. But one does not simply deal with the rights and get invited to a party they host without wanting anything from either of the two. Or it's the other way around. So, with the last wary glance at the two, I head into the ballroom. I just hope this will not complicate things any further. Shit. Alright, okay. I'll end the episode here. We'll be continuing this in the next episode. We're gonna get another face full of Rochelle's claims. Plus whatever happens that night with Ashton. So, till then, this is the Gamer Girl signing off. Bye bye.